Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Train Man, and welcome back to the Tamara's Van Anaconda Railway and the story of the zombie train, the continuing story. I have made significant progress with the zombie train this past week, since I recorded that last episode, which was actually a week ago. So if you think about it, by the time I recorded that last episode, by the time you saw that last episode, I'd actually made all the progress that I'm talking about right now. See, I just blew your mind. Or perhaps not, but the fact of the matter is, I got some work done. And I know I'm just kind of tying things together with Wybold, and we're doing some stuff involving, well, I've got to do all the stuff in Essex, which is going to be quite a bit of stuff. So I'm starting to work my way through that. There was a fire NATO, and this is going to be one hell of a chapter. Just remember that. When we get to Essex, it's going to be one hell of a chapter. Now, something I've been thinking about, before I get back to Barrington Rail Revival stuff, something I've been thinking about is the fact that this is going to be quite long because it's like a whole book. And hopefully I don't have more than one recording session with all the people that I need to get in for voice acting. Most of the people, if I know someone isn't going to be available, I've tried to limit their stuff, but there's one person that I've actually just kind of proposed this to, and they're pretty integral characters. And I, of course, could get someone else, I just don't want to. Oh. How are we going to do this? I have an idea. Like that, perhaps? So yeah, it's going to be quite long, and I'm not sure... Oh, I have another spline point here. I'm not sure how I want to go about releasing this, whether I want to do it in parts, or in one super giant, way more than feature-length video. Keep in mind, I've still got to kind of record this stuff as well, and I've been having trouble with everything from the map to the crane to the engine. Of all the things, the engine has been the most cooperative. There were a couple of things that, if I was talented enough to make assets myself, I would have made. One of them being something very special, known... Yeah, I can't even say it would spoil it. But, it's something very unusual, and I'm gonna have to substitute it for just basically a part of what it is. I can't have the whole thing. And it's gonna look kinda awkward when I'm doing it. I'm doing a lot of this manually because it's some awkward terraining. Oh, Jesus Christ, cat. I know I say that a lot, but that's because I leave I leave the door cracked open so that cat can pull on it and open it. As I believe I've said, one of the cats is smart enough to do that, the other one not so much. The other cat will lean on the door in order to push it open, I guess, and she'll just close it, and it'll latch. And then she'll be stuck down here, and then she'll get upset. But that's nothing new. It's not like there's a day that goes by without these cats being upset. Just because they're cats. Now, on a different subject, just moving on to another game here for a minute. War Thunder is pretty much here to stay. I haven't gotten to fix the ending card yet. By the time you see this, no, I probably still will not have finished it, or fixed it. But it's here to stay, mostly because it's a hell of a lot of fun to record. There's not really any downtime in the middle of recordings. I can just kind of drop in, play a bunch of matches, and post them up. Whoa. And I'm always getting new people in there, so anyone that really wants to be in a video can be. And of course, I love having other people in my videos because it just provides comic relief, so you guys don't have to listen to me the whole time. And I know that's a death sentence basically right there. I think I might do back here as well. I'm going to see how much of this mountain that I actually want to do, and how much of it that I'm just going to ignore. Over here still needs to be redone as well, and back here I might not pay attention to. Again, the thing of this map is, I'm going to have to go back to some of the areas, basically, and sit down and run a train through them and go, oh, well, I can see the edge of stuff that's worked on there, and so I've got to go over and fix that. There's one location in particular where I'm pretty sure seeing the edge of the board is not a big deal for me. I know it is for some people, but it's not a big deal for me. However, actually seeing the edge of worked on area, like seeing the back of a mountain ridge, is no good. Not something that I want hanging around. I received a couple of tips on how to make things look very professional, so I might take those to heart if I get the chance. But right now I'm just kind of going over bare bones. As you know, I forgot about the signaling for long enough. Gonna have to be a little bit crafty here. What did I just do? No. That. So yeah, instead of touting War Thunder, let's try and get back to zombie train stuff. Now, I don't remember where I left off. I only remember repeating something about the Constitution and the water being too deep multiple times. So I feel like I've covered plenty of stuff on that story. If you have another question, let me know. But, you know, if you start having too many questions, I might just sit back and say, well, you're going to have to wait for that to come out. It will come out, just like the other things will. Alright, gotta fix up all this stuff because it looks purely awful. And I'm salvaging this, but only slightly. I might actually want to bring the stuff down and work my way up, as opposed to the other way around. But of course I can always texture this sort of like a massive cut. With this kind of rocky face. If I had like a snow shed model, I'd throw that in here, but I don't think I have one. I know there'd be some coming off Mariah's Pass, but I don't want to use I almost said stock, but non-default assets for this map, because I want everyone to be able to download it and play with it. Just write off your default copy of Trains. Trains 06, that is. Oh, that's terrible. It's better. It's not great, but it's better. This is going to be craggy as heck. It's going to be kind of fun to texture. Alright, sitting here thinking about my next move. This whole area needs to be done. So instead of just contemplating, I might as well just sit down and work. I can sit down and drone and sit down and work and all the above. And as long as I get stuff done, I've said something like this before. As long as I get stuff done, that means stuff is getting done. It doesn't matter what it is, but it'll just be hours spent towards the betterment of the map, and it will be worth it because of that. There it is. It looks like it might work out. Except it doesn't. Alright. That's one thing done. I concentrate so hard on this sometimes, it's like I don't even talk. Which is bad, because I'm here to talk. Though I seem to be running out of Zombie Train stuff to talk about, in part because I don't want to spoil anything. Now, I can talk about the tech in it all day long. I can talk about what Beta Rail's doing. I don't know. You could talk about how I made a timeline for all the stuff and included World War Z things in the timeline, including the Battle of Yonkers, which I believe I discussed. I'm not sure what I should do in this case. I could just make up a story on the spot and run with it. But I don't, I'm not quite in the mood, I suppose. But whatever, I'm making this video, I ought to be. But I'm trying to contemplate my other options in the meantime. We're going to think about how exactly we're building these mountains here. And just what to do with them. These are going to be upwards going tracks, actually. Right? Where's... Hold on. My maps. Here we are. No, actually, those are going to be pretty level. Although I could have them upwards going just for the sake of it. Yeah, you know, I'm going to have it be a slight upwards gradient. And this kind of river is going to go straight over to here. So let me expand the board in this direction. There. We're going to fill that in at some point. No, that's not good. I need to figure out exactly how I'm going to conquer this area. Basically, it comes down to which way do I want the striations to go, because I know it's not going to be perfect no matter what I do. can't do that straight. Alright, let me clean up this piece of track. Now, all these things that are going in my head, all these thoughts of, can I do this straight? Should I move this curve? I feel like I should be saying those out loud, just to make it a little more sensical with what I'm doing in front of you. But I feel like you guys, well, you already kind of know exactly how this works. So there isn't that much sense in that when you think about it. It'd be just me repeating what you guys know I'm probably going to do. Or even are thinking, just at that moment. It'd be like me speaking your thoughts. Which would be cool in one way or another, but it'd also be kind of weird. That just made me think about a book that I want to read. Or, well, a book series, and the next one isn't out yet, and I'm grumbly because of it. Speaking of book series that I'm grumbly about, and I don't mean because they're bad, I mean because they are over. One in particular that I'm thinking of is, if you guys have heard of the Leviathan series by Scott Westerfeld. It's very, very excellent, kind of steampunk. Not kind of, it is. A series of novels. Dual protagonists, male and female, so whatever your fancy. And I like the characters so much that after he ended the series I adopted them. Now, of course, that isn't official, but I very much like them, so I use them in my roster of borrowed characters for the Admiral Ellis stuff. They come up quite often, and they're awesome to be around. They mesh well with what I feel the TTO is. Also with me, or with my character, and with Sarah, and I feel like that's very important. You need everyone to work together. Now, I put Catherine Janeway and Captain Jack Harkness together in a situation, and I built in a little bit of strife that was already there, and I wouldn't say what it was. That's part of the second book, which I need to go and redo. I started redoing the first book in that series, and of course, all of the progress that I could be making there is lost to the zombie train, which of course is being done for a much better cause. It's not just my own enjoyment at this point. So I don't mind. But I always take a look back at those files and go, oh, I could be working on that. And occasionally I do. I actually have gone back to them and typed a few more lines or written a little bit more into the second part of Welcome to the TTO. Because I left off at the end of the first part saying, alright, well, this is where I gotta stop because I gotta work on the zombie train. But I rounded it out. It's almost a novel in and of itself. But it, of course, has a lot of, let's see. It has a lot of holes, like plot holes. Or, well, loose ends, not plot holes. It has a lot of loose ends in that it's part of a much larger, overarching story, and you don't get most of your questions answered because there was nothing to answer them there. With those books, I very much like being not quite so straightforward. With the Zombie Train, it's pretty much straightforward because it's almost always, it's the same old kind of zombie story. I mean, the difference is the train, obviously, but it's the same old, we run to this place, zombie hordes show up, we shoot some, we go to the next place. And of course, now trying to figure out where to build next. The unusual part of that is going, well, now we need to supply all these people, we have a moving fortress, and we're not just hunt, gather survivors anymore, we're the lifeline of communities all along the East Coast, so we have not only our own stuff to live for, we have them. and we have our reputation to keep by being timely, by being, delivering the things that are needed when they're needed, like keeping people up to date, never giving out false information. There's very many things that the Zombie Train served as that were kind of... That's something I need to flesh out, actually. Who takes over when the Zombie Train goes in the winter of 2014 when we go up the pass? Who takes over? And I want to just hand that torch to the Block Islanders, which would be even more of a reason for Donadio to get mad at them, because they're going out there and basically ruling the high seas with a 44-gun frigate, a heavy frigate, and forming all these trade partners and alliances and making all these friends, and he's not. And of course he's a little bit screwed up by the Mercury, too. We can let that pass and just say he's going crazy. Which is basically what's happening anyways. Oh, that's not good right there. You know, to anyone who's sitting here watching me do this and is going, man, I couldn't do anything like that. Honestly, there was a point at which I was in your position, and I know this is the kind of story you'll hear from anyone. That's like, oh, go out there and pursue your dreams, but seriously, just you figure it out. And a lot of these techniques, either I picked up from watching other people, or I just came up with myself. And I'm sure that pretty much anyone who has the creativity to sit down and actually make a map like this will have the ingenuity to come up with their own techniques for doing things and how to do things. And if I know I've heard the other sides of the argument already in the comments before with the land before track, and of course that isn't prudent here, and I've talked about that before, but I'll just to reiterate, it isn't prudent here because I already know what the tracks look like. I'm not going to go altering them after I've built the land, even though I have slightly at times. But for the most part, I already know where the main lines are. And will be. Let me keep my watch out just in case. Uh-oh. I really truly hope that didn't kill the recording. Alright, and sync. I'll just put in a blank slide or something there, or I'll cut out the audio to make up for the lost space, I guess. The lost time. It really is time there. When it's displayed out on the video editor, it's space, but space and time can be intertwined nonetheless, as we have learned, or as you guys have learned from, if you guys pay attention to Admiral Ellis at all. Which I don't expect you to, but now that I'm talking about it, you guys should go check it out at youtube.com/Admiral Ellis. Go on and subscribe and watch all the cool videos about me writing and portraying a character known as Admiral Ellis, who gets into all sorts of time travel shenanigans. And, it's fun. I recently got back... See, I'm not so great at character development. And that's not my strong suit. That is what I lack in. And so I often seek help. Or it takes me a few times before I go, hey, I should have this character do this, and it'll show this, and, everything clicks. But that takes me a while. I have a friend who is very good at character development and loves to build her characters in stories the way I build my starships in stories. It gets really deep in there, like every facet of their personality down to what they normally wear. Whereas I go for power requirements, different kinds of fuel, how long I can go without refueling, crew complement, weapon complement, the kind of damage these things can do, where the systems and subsystems are the most vulnerable parts. You get my point. So, we had a thing, we were in a history class together and we were quite bored, and I would sit there writing and she'd sit there making character sketches, and it'd always be pretty cool to look over and see, and she'd tell me about, oh, this person is this way, and I'll go, look what I'm doing, I blew this up. From the other side of things, that just makes me seem really thick. But it came down to the fact that we, as a pair, worked pretty well together when coming up with stories, because she'd have these characters and kind of know what she wanted to do with them, but then I would come in and go, oh, well, I could give you a setting, basically. I know how that could work out, and I know what these characters could use. I'll just use what I'm talking about as an example. So just to cover what I'm trying to get to, she recently uncovered some character sketches that had been stored away since she'd moved. Oops, no, I don't want that completely flat. Let's add a spline and bring that up just a tidbit. There we are. Keeping things from being completely flat is always molto bene. Alonzo. Alright. What to do next? You know, let's go over here and work on this so we can finish polishing this area. Whoa! Okay. Keep control of our mouse cursor. I'm thinking about how to do this. It's going to end up kind of like a bowl, which is fine by me. And I'm going to have to adjust all that along there. So, she came up with these character sketches, and so I started going through them again, and because I had about 15 pages written, which is not too much for me. I had about 15 pages written of mostly dialogue and, about half dialogue, half description of these characters interacting with my characters. Just one of my characters. That would be Admiral Ellis. The situation is, these characters that she created, she wasn't quite sure what to do with them, so she knew they wanted to be segregated by eye color, so I suggested, what if they were all on different planets in a massive star system, and they segregate you by eye color, and put you on the different planets to work in these different fields based on eye color, of course. Oh, whoa. Remain in control of your cursor. And, she immediately jumped on the idea, which was great for my self-esteem. But, then we went over this whole thing, and then she lost the character sketch, which was really a disappointment, because I was just getting into it. Hold on, I'm going to raise this. I'm going to raise that. We're going to flatten out that. There we go. It looks weird, I'll be honest. It looks very weird. Whoa! Jesus Christ. Control. I'm not talking about the key here. That looks so much better. And, there are... These characters are, all around a teenager kind of age. I think the oldest one's 18. The youngest one is 9. I'm not sure what kind of role he plays. She hasn't finished typing up the character sketches yet, as of me recording this. But, she has them all on paper. What was I saying? They're all around the teenage kind of age, and they're trying to spur on, not necessarily a war kind of rebellion, but a civil objection, basically, to this segregation based on eye color, which is a silly thing to cut your people apart for. The reason that this is kind of happening when it's happening is the advent of, well, not the advent of, but the prevalence of computer technology moving to the lower class world. Of course, as was stated, eye color determines what you work, and what you work determines how much money you make, and the amount of money you make determines your class. And that works in real life as well. I'm not making an overgeneralization or even just creating a societal system. That's just how it works. If you make less money, you are a lower class individual. There's no two ways about it. It's just true. That's what it is. And that doesn't say a single damn thing about your character, so don't think I'm insulting you. I'm just pointing out a fact. Oops. But the lower class worlds, for a long time, well, they still did at this point in the beginning of the story, they have less advanced technology as the people on the richer worlds. Makes sense. However, the people on the richer worlds have reached a point where they're spreading the technology that once was new to them down into the lower classes. Whoa, okay. Now, this technology includes phones, or, well, telecommunications devices, including computers. And computers come with... So, hold on, Computer comes with communication over really long distances. For all intents and purposes, they use subspace relays between the planets, so that it doesn't matter what planet you're on, you can still converse with someone like they're next door. These were installed actually to speed military communication between the planets, and just like the internet and GPS, it went from a military system to a civilian system very quickly, because of its popularity. So, the kids are getting this kind of telecommunications between the planets, and they're starting to see that, hey, wait, or well, a small group of them have kind of banded together and said that this eye-based segregation is bad. And, of course, I agree. Basing someone on their eye color is kind of useless, because that's just an inherited physical trait, and it really doesn't determine much of anything. But this is where it gets tricksy. They start to build their revolution, and this whole, like, the first third of the book is or maybe the first quarter of the book is going to be completely normal. I mean, I can guess what the plot synopsis would be, and I'll come back around to that. But it's going to seem like your typical kind of, not teen angst per se, but it's going to be your typical kind of, hold on, I'm trying to think of this. Viva la Revolution, these teenagers are getting together, they're talking about what they want to do online, and they're planning all these extravagant things that they want to do. They want to overthrow, well, they don't want to overthrow the Capitol, because one of them is a senator's daughter, and she doesn't hate her father. But her father does not believe that the legislation is bad. And so she wants to show her father up, no doubt. At least that's what I remember. I could be wrong. And I may be changing that statement once I get the finished character sketches. But first quarter book is going to be them planning, and then the day finally comes. There's going to be a very large meeting, and the senator's daughter, whose name is Sally Miss Amber. Sally Miss Amber. That's one heck of a name, I'll be honest. Although there is a person in the story named Bermuda Triangle. And my friend comes to me when she was getting the documents back and goes, "Why did you let me name him that?" So I'm trying to propose a different last name to make it sound less ridiculous. And I have one already set. But I'll talk to her about it when I can. Aside from that, then the day of them meeting up finally comes. One of the boys who works on, he has yellow eyes, I believe. He works on a planet of merchants. They basically are ships for hire, and he borrows a starship, because they have starships, but they're not starships. Oh no, I moved something. What did I move? I must have moved something, but I don't know what it is. Alright, let's go back to where we were, and I'll Control Z it. Putting that little toe on the bottom really helps. So they're going to meet up. This guy is going to swing around through the different planets and pick up girls and guys alike, and then they're going to fly right back to the capital and make a big scene and start a protest and blah blah blah, viva la revolution. But then it all went wrong. And this is where, you're sitting there reading this book, and assumedly you're looking up and you're going, or well, you're not looking up, but things are looking up and you're going, yeah, I can't wait to see these guys do what they want to do. And then, you look down and realize, what the hell, there's 3/4 of the book left. That should be it. That was like a short story. And then a starship, green, iron, not iron, but green and dark brown spikes, and evil looking starship shows up out of nowhere, warps in via FTL, or actually it's via time drive, but shoots down the freighter. The dude actually manages to escape via escape pod. By the way, I believe it is Bermuda Triangle flying that ship, so it would make sense the ship disappears or gets shot down or whatever. Never mind. I know what I'm going to do over here now. I'll try and simulate a low kind of marshland at the base of this hill. So let's grab the water. I need to lower that, so I need to decrease this. And that, again, the ship jumps in via time drive. He's breaking the timeline, just blatantly destroying it. I haven't worked out quite who he's working for, because again, I kind of stopped my thoughts on the project after the documents were lost. But now that they're back, I'm going to have to start thinking about it again. Salamis, Bermuda Triangle. Elizabeth is another one. She's an astronomer. She comes from the farthest out planet, which is, as you would expect, it's decently colder than the rest of them. But because it's the farthest one out, it gets a better view of all of the other planets. And that's also where most of the centers of religion are. So I'm going to wrap up the story, and then I'm going to wrap up the episode. They have... Where was I? I was talking about... Oh, right. So the ship comes flying into nowhere, breaks the timeline, and destroys the freighter. Triangle escapes in an escape pod and is left drifting for a little while before we pick him up. But at that moment, the book basically, if a book could hard cut, like a movie does, that's exactly what it would do. It would hard cut to me, doing basically nothing, hanging out on my desk, being bored, and then I get a message saying, hey, there was a continuum incident. You've been selected to go. Have fun. So we do. I take off in my city ship. I wanted to call it something else, but that's just what it is. It's a city ship named Devereaux. Take off in my city ship on my way to... I don't remember what we called the star system. I actually really don't remember. On my way to the star system. Oh, the Scalaris system, I believe. And we come into the system. The continuum is very, very damaged, so it's tough for us to pinpoint in. So we don't get in before the fact like we normally do, and prevent the disaster from even happening, and then leave ourselves a message to keep it from being a paradox. We go in there after the fact, because we can't land at the right time. It would cause too much damage to the universe, and it was putting too much of a strain on our engines to do it anyways. We come in after the fact. We get sent spiraling out of control by this spiky green ship, and we crash land next to the massive marble walled city that is where Sally Miss lives. The story goes on. I'll be a little bit more specific next time, but the story goes on. She climbs aboard in the middle of the night, comes to the tower, and I'm still awake, or the main spire, and I'm still awake. And basically, Sarah intercepts her. She basically confesses to sneaking aboard the ship, tells us about her plight, and we go about helping her because we realize that she was directly connected, and maybe if we get this revolution back on track, the timeline might just fix itself. And it does. But the rest of the story is the entire... It's really them, with myself as a background character who's just kind of stepped in and become a lifeline at this point in time. So it's still their story, but it's just, hey, look, it's Train Man, and he's saving the day. He's flying his spaceship, and I don't really have too much of an impact in what's going on. I'm more of a bystander until a couple of crucial points where I have to throw in my insight and go, hey, wait a minute. That's not good. That's gonna get you killed. And I'm not sure how quite it's going to end, but I know that it will be, victory for the rebels, basically, and they start to remove the segregation laws, and their government is actually stronger because of it, and they're able to resist a war. They're not only able to resist a civil war, they're able to resist outside influences to create war. Which, as I said, is what the other guys were trying to change. Those things are just refusing to load. Will you look at that? That too. Let's go to Galgora. Ah, lag. Yes, lovely. Okay, I forgot about the annoying church. I do like this place. I like it. We're probably not going to spend too much time using it until I get the path up to Lambeth hooked up, or any of the standard gauge industries. But I like it. I like how it came out. Oh, lag. Look at that. Of course, these cliffs look like something out of Half-Life 1. So it's a little bit weird. But this is not the, droids we're looking for. No, it's not the real issue here. And that is the real issue I was talking about, this edge here. So we need to do some more work over here, probably, in the future. Now that I know what I'm actually doing, it should help a little bit. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next week. That looks like I screwed up. Let's fly back to... Oh, look, I forgot about this place. That was a fun little thing to make. Yeah, I like throwing these little Easter eggs in here. Let's fly over to Temeros and lag the game out, and then I'll say goodbye. Ah, lag. Next yard will be better than this, I promise. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next week. Train man, out.